How does being a real estate agent get you paid? Real estate agents serve the primary function of bringing buyers and sellers together to purchase and sell real property. After that, we provide limitless resources and guide our prospective clients through the corresponding processes. With this in mind, real estate agents can make money in a few different ways. I want to focus on the biggest income producing functions first, and I'll go over some alternative roles for agents toward the end of this episode. Keep in mind that I am just talking about real estate roles that require a license to perform. I am not referring to working as an administrator in an office or functioning as an investor. To learn more about real estate investing without needing a license, check out my other channel videos. One of the most lucrative agent roles is that of a seller's agent, yet it is one of the harder roles to get. When you represent a seller, you essentially list the property they have for sale on the multiple listing service. You will work tirelessly to advertise the property for the seller and provide resources for their transition. The agent essentially becomes the client's rock. When the agent begins advertising the property for the seller, they agree upon a marketing fee, also called a commission, that will be charged to the seller once the property closes. This is usually a percentage of the sales price, but can sometimes be a flat fee in unique situations. Most agents prefer to find the buyer for the property themselves, so they aren't obligated to share that commission with anyone else. That brings us to representing a buyer. The listing agent for a property offers a percentage of their commission to the buyer's agent for bringing a buyer to the property and conducting a successful closing. This is called the cooperative compensation. Here's an example. If the listing agent listed the property at a 7% commission, they offer half of that commission, or 3.5% of the purchase price, as cooperative compensation to a buyer's agent. If the property in question is $250,000, that means that each agent is going to receive $8,750 in gross commission at closing. The cooperative compensation doesn't necessarily have to be half the total commission, though. The listing agent could only offer 3% to the buyer's agent and keep the 4% for themselves, or any other number the two of them negotiate. In most transactions, the agents split the commission 50-50, but that is not always the case. As a buyer's agent, your job is to work directly with a buyer and help them find the property perfect for their needs. You will guide them and advise them through the whole process. Once your client completes the closing process, you will get paid based on the cooperative compensation the listing agent is offering. In some unique situations, the buyer can also provide the buyer's agent with commissions. It's just less common because buyers, particularly first-time home buyers, don't have as much money to work with, where the sellers are receiving a proceeds check for maybe a couple $100,000 or $50,000. Most agents prefer to have the opportunity to list the property and find the buyer themselves. In this situation, the agent changes their status of representing only one party and walks both the buyer and seller through closing, keeping the entirety of the commission to themselves. Each state is different in how they handle agency law when it comes to being on both sides of the transaction. In Tennessee, it is most common to become a facilitator for the transaction and drop representations for either party. That means you don't have anybody's back. You're not their confidant, you're not their negotiator. You simply provide the paperwork and instructions and be a communication source for both parties. Back to our commission example from before, this is the most preferred way to make money, as the agent would receive a gross commission of $17,500 on a $250,000 property at 7% commission. One of the previous three scenarios represent how most agents make money, as they offer the highest financial reward, but also present more risk for transaction failure and longer wait times before you get paid. As most closings could take anywhere from 2 to 4 months, the agent has to be prepared to wait to get paid. This is why working multiple transactions is key. We are working for tomorrow's business. Once we have that cycle moving, we can have money available now that we prepared for months ago. You can combine either of those strategies. A lot of agents do a little bit of everything, and some just focus in their own niches. Now I'm going to talk about a few other ways to make money as a real estate professional. These are less common than the practices of a typical agent, but they do play a part in diversifying the market. Referrals. Many agents like to build a national or global network of go-to agents for referrals. Let's say that an agent in New York City has a client that wants to move to East Tennessee. They contact me to represent their buyer in Tennessee, but they still want to be paid for establishing the connection. In this case, we will work out a percentage of the gross commission that I would pay back to the agent for sending me the business I wouldn't normally have. Many agents have a vast network of referrals they send out, particularly if they work near a military base or know lots of clients with the need to move. Some agents actually take on the role of relocation coordinators for big companies that do a lot of in-company moves to other places in the United States or in the world. For example's sake, let's use that same $250,000 property. This time the buyer I'm working with got sent to me from an agent in New York. I agreed to pay them 25% of the gross commission after I closed the property, and I only represented the buyer. Of the $8,750 they would have paid me, I will give the agent who referred me the business $2,187.50. In this situation, it helps everyone. This is money that the agent in New York would have missed out on completely if the client found their own agent, and it's a client that I would have never known about if it wasn't for my referral network. What's the benefit to the client? They get to work with someone who was hand-selected by an agent they trust rather than hoping a random agent does a great job. Brokers' price opinions. Many foreclosure companies will pay agents to give an estimate of the value of a property so the company knows how much to list it for. This is often cheaper than hiring an appraiser and is a quick way to get local eyes on a property that needs to be sold quickly. The company may pay the agent a flat fee to perform a walkthrough and provide comparable properties that justify a fair market value for the property in question. They may make $100 or $250 or something in that ballpark depending on the property and the agreement. It could vary even further depending on circumstance. The foreclosure company may choose the agent to list the property or may offer it for sale on their own website without an agent. Most listing agents will perform this service free of charge to a client who is interested in using them to list the property. In some cases, there are agents who strictly specialize in working these foreclosure accounts and do these price opinions every day. Keep in mind that a price opinion is not equivalent to an appraisal. It is literally just an opinion of price that helps a company know where to put it on the market. It's also much cheaper than an appraisal. Rental placement. Many real estate companies manage rental properties for individual owners. In this situation, the owner wants to have a rental property but doesn't want to spend their time writing leases, collecting rent, evicting tenants, screening applicants, and calling repair people. They may pay a property manager to a percentage of the monthly rent to be a liaison for all things needed with the property. All the owner has to do at this point is collect their check, usually via direct deposit from the rental management company. Let's say I charge 8% of a month's rent to manage a property, and the property rents for $1,000 a month. This means I make $80 a month off this property. Pretty unsubstantial, but if the agent manages hundreds of properties, this becomes very lucrative. Rental agents may also charge a one-time fee simply to screen large amounts of applicants for a potential landlord, then allowing the landlord to take full control of managing the property afterward. Property managers can optimize their opportunity by advertising buying to renters and being available when their property owners decide to sell their inventory. Being a broker or office manager. In most states, every company has to have a managing broker. This is essentially a real estate agent who often still practices purchasing and selling properties, but is also responsible for being an office manager, onboarding new agents, training new agents, and ultimately being responsible for the actions of the agents in the firm. Some brokers choose to simply be a broker and not do residential sales anymore or commercial sales, and some choose to do both. It is expected that you dedicate as much time as possible to the office and the growth of the team over your own business interest. Many real estate firms will pay these brokers a salary plus any additional income they earn when they aren't mentoring. This is perfect for the experienced agents, but requires a great deal of business experience and responsibility. I've discussed many options that allow you to get paid as a real estate agent through your firm. I've discussed gross commissions to you because there's one more factor to consider. Most offices will allow you to use their resources and training, but they expect to be reimbursed on the back end of your financial success. In the business, we call these commission splits and office fees. A commission split is a percentage of your gross commission that the firm takes in lieu of services they offer the agent up front. Newer agents usually start off with a more aggressive split that changes as they become more successful. Common splits look something like this: 75% to the agent, 25% to the company. 60%, 40%, 90%, 10%. The more successful an agent becomes, the more a firm will want to incentivize them to stay with the company, usually giving them a less aggressive split for constantly bringing in income to the firm. On top of these fees, some franchises and teams take additional money from the agent for services offered that help streamline the real estate process. All of this is outlined in your interview with the real estate firm you will be working for and your independent contractor agreement. If you enjoyed these tips on how to make money as a real estate agent and want to see more about getting started, check out the next video. See you over there.